if someone were to ask us, what do we do for a living? Like, what is our job? My response would be living. We are living for a living. It's so ingrained in us to have like one specific job for our entire life, right? And I'm just really doing a lot of work around the stories in my mind around our jobs, because we are both jobless. We have, of course, saved up money, and we have some income coming in from our properties that we own, which I'm so grateful for, but we don't have jobs. And it's hard to rewire your mind around all the subconscious programming we have from our society, from like when we start to go to school, or maybe even before that you go to school, you get a job, you work for the rest of your life. We are just blowing up that timeline. We are totally collapsing that timeline. Welcome to Alignment Adventures. This is a podcast where we explore what it means to live a fulfilling, aligning, and present life. I'm your host, Lindsay Tanner, and I am so grateful that you are here. Hello, my loves, and welcome back to another episode of Alignment Adventures. I am so excited to be sitting down with you for a solo episode. It just feels very aligning to talk about some things that have been going on in my reality, and some lessons that I've been learning, and some reminders that I've been needing. That's what this podcast is all about, is me sharing what's going on in my reality and relaying those messages and relating those lessons to your life. Hopefully that is what you get away from these episodes. You can take what I am going through, what I share, the reminders I have, and apply them to your life to live your most aligning life. That is truly why I believe we are here, is to come here for growth and expansion and remembering and joy and just enjoying the journey along the way. Like, we always need that reminder to enjoy the journey. It is truly about the journey, as cliche as it sounds. There's no destination that we get to. There are many destinations along the way, always leading us to more expansion and growth. So just take that as a reminder to yourself if you're feeling like you're trying to rush somewhere or get somewhere else, or when I finally get to this place, I can feel happy and aligned and all the things. When I finally get here, I can be present. No, you can feel all of those things right now in this moment, no matter your circumstance. So today I want to talk to you guys about, again, what's going on with us, and just kind of share some lessons there. So as you guys know, or may not know if you are new here, which if you are new here, please consider subscribing, or if you are a long-time listener, please consider sharing this episode with anyone that you think needs to hear this message. But we have been in the Midwest, in the St. Louis and Springfield, Illinois area the past month or so. We moved back from Phoenix at the beginning of June, and we have just kind of been hopping between families' houses as we prep our RV for full-time RV life, which starts hopefully in about a week and a half. That is our plan. So life has been, I keep describing it as beautifully chaotic. That is how it has felt truly in my soul. And I choose those words because they're almost like opposites, right? Like when you think of chaotic, you think of stressful, anxious, messy, whatever that may be. And yes, there are aspects of our life right now that do look like that. Like if you were actually in the physical space that I'm in right now, you would see piles of clothes, a bunch of suitcases open, things that I'm trying to keep organized, but it's just chaotic. Like physically, it's chaotic around me because we are living out of suitcases with a baby. So that has been very interesting. But it's also been so beautiful. It's so beautiful, one, because we chose this life. We created this reality. We are always creating our reality no matter what. No matter what, you are creating your reality. That's a hard pill to swallow sometimes, but it is the truth, what I believe to be the truth, and it is my truth. We created this reality. This is exactly what we were manifesting, is living nomadically and hopping around from place to place. I mean, we're going to do that more, I guess, systematically and efficiently in our RV, because all of our stuff will be in one spot in our RV. But right now we're truly living out of suitcases, jumping from family's house to family's house. And it's been so beautiful getting quality time with our family. We haven't spent this much time with our family since I moved to Arizona. And I don't know if I've spent this much time with my family in one sitting ever, which is, again, that dichotomy. You are spending so much time with people and it's so beautiful, but it's also a lot of time together. But you know what I think is, even though I'm experiencing contrast, which I will get into a little bit here more in a second, I still have been enjoying this journey so much. I'm so grateful for this time with my family. And I was even just saying with my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, we spend so much time together and we're still not sick of each other. I mean, I guess I'm speaking for them. They may want to come on here and say something different, but at least the reality that I'm creating, the vibes that I'm picking up, is we're not sick of each other. And the same went for when I was in Springfield with my mom and my sister and all of my sweet nephews. So it's just been beautifully chaotic. It's messy. There's stuff everywhere. We're living out of suitcases, but we're getting so much quality time, and it's just been so beautiful, beyond beautiful, seeing Arlo with his cousins, with his grandparents, with his aunt and uncles, just soaking up all this time. So with that, like I just said, we are also experiencing a lot of contrast. This is something Abraham Hicks talks about all the time. Go back and check out my episode where I recap what I learned at the Abraham Hicks workshop, which was so life-changing. And I'm reading one of their books right now, which I love, just reading a little bit before I go to bed. I lost that habit somewhere in the chaos of moving, but it truly is so aligning to read just a little bit of a book like that before I go to bed, because then I soak it in my subconscious as I sleep, because some of it is so radically expansive to what we're used to. It's hard for your mind to wrap your mind around it. So something that Abraham Hicks always talks about is experiencing contrast. And this is very important in the expansion of the universe and the manifestation method. Everyone's talking about manifesting. It's just a hot topic, and we're doing it all the time, whether we realize it or not. So you can either be manifesting consciously or unconsciously, intentionally or unintentionally. And hopefully by listening to this podcast, I'm helping you manifest more intentionally, because you're all manifestors. You're all creators, no matter what you're doing. But as we go through life, we experience contrast. And it's just a beautiful way of wording what we like and what we don't like. I can't remember who I was talking about this with. This is another chaotic thing of my lifestyle right now. We're around so many different people and hopping around so much. I cannot remember what conversations I've had with what people. It's just like this mixture of beautiful, expansive, loving conversations. But I was talking about this with someone, or maybe it was on a podcast episode. Okay, I think it was a podcast episode that will be coming out. I still have some more interviews for you guys. But one of my guests was talking about how contrast is just a beautiful way to rebrand what we want and what we do not want. And no matter what situation you're in, and until we leave this physical plane, we're going to experience contrast. And learning how to deal with it in a way that is useful for you, for your life, for your alignment is so powerful and so empowering. So as you're going throughout your life, and I feel like especially when we're around family, sometimes we can let that contrast really get to us. So again, you're going through life, you're seeing what you like, what you do not like, what you want, what you do not want, what you desire more of, what you do not desire more of. And as you're doing that, just start to data collect. And don't get too hung up, and I know this is easier than it sounds, on the stuff that you do not want. Because where your attention goes, your energy flows. And that's what you're attracting more and more into your life. So don't think about this in panic. That's not the case. It's not instantaneous. But just as you go throughout life, as you do experience contrast, like if you're living with your family like I am and experiencing things you maybe do or do not like, don't get hung up on it. Just data collect and be like, okay, I don't want more of this in my reality, so I'm going to focus more on what I do want. And if you truly do not know where to focus, if you feel like the things that you do not want are just taking up way too much of your awareness, come back to what you are grateful for in this moment. There's always, 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 always something to be grateful for. And I have Abraham Hicks' emotional scale as my bookmark in my book. And that is the highest vibration emotion you can feel is appreciation, along with freedom and love and connection. But you can always tap into appreciation and gratitude. There's always something to be grateful for. So going back to contrast, as you experience contrast, which is normal, and we will always experience contrast because we're always going to have new desires, and that's okay. That's allowed. That's part of life. That's part of this human experience. Focus on what you do want rather than what you do not want. Because when you really focus on what you do not want, you're just attracting more and more of that into your life. Another thing that I've really been having to practice, which let's be honest, I'm always trying to practice this more and more. And I really have compassion with myself as I fall out of this. And that's okay because, again, we have contrast all the time and I can't be in these things all the time. But I'm trying to practice presence and patience. So we're here right now specifically to update some things in the RV. So we don't want to be limited to just RV parks and having to hook up for power and all that stuff. So Steven's actually installing solar panels to charge our batteries. We actually got new batteries. The specifics I can't really get into because I don't totally understand all of that. And I'm so grateful that Steven does understand all of that and his dad's been helping him along the way. I am just beyond grateful for both of them, that they have that knowledge. I think that is so cool. But me, on the other hand, I have my science teacher level of knowledge of electricity and all that. But of course, with projects like this, things can tend to take longer and you need more stuff than you thought you did. And it's more complex than you planned it to be. And that's okay. So the RV updates are taking a little bit longer than we planned. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Our mind wants to make up stories. It can get frustrated. It can get impatient. I just try to observe those things as they come up because here's the beauty of this life. Here's the beauty of this chaotic season is we don't have a set time. Of course, we planned out our route and we have a day we would like to leave by, but we have no constrictions in terms of jobs or people we need to answer to. We really are making our own timetables here, our own schedule. So if we need to push that back or adjust it, we can. And our mind wants to have stories about that. I'm really noticing as I've left corporate America, as I've left my 9-to-5 job, it's going to take time for me to get out of that mentality that I have someone or something to answer to, and that I truly can just live my life in alignment and let it flow. Like we've set it up that way so we can slow down and flow more in life. But my mind's still catching up. So I'm excited to share that with you guys as I continue to rewire my awareness to realize that that's not the case. We are making our own schedule and we're building this life for us. We're creating this reality for us. So our plan is to leave a week from when this podcast is released. I think we're still on schedule for that, but if not, again, that's the beauty of this lifestyle. We can adjust if needed. So we'll see how that goes. I'm just trying to practice presence and patience as much as I can. And honestly, the things that help me do that so much is asking, what can I do in this moment to feel more joy? What feels flowy in this moment? Just coming back to this moment again and again. Maybe it's stopping and taking a few deep breaths. Maybe it's doing a quick yoga flow. Maybe it's doing something really fun with Arlo if he's awake and needs my attention. But just continually coming back to this moment again and again. What am I grateful for in this moment? Maybe it's that Arlo is having the best time with his cousins and getting so much playtime in, which he is enjoying. So truly a practice of presence and patience, which is one of my main goals over here, always, always. Now, I kind of just touched on this, but I want to come back to it and reiterate. Something that has been frustrating me is that I feel like I haven't truly been enjoying the fact that I am jobless. As you guys know, that's something I've been manifesting for a long time, is truly doing the podcast full time. Or what I keep telling Steven, if someone were to ask us, what do we do for a living? Like, what is our job? My response would be living. We are living for a living. It's so ingrained in us to have like one specific job for our entire life, right? And I'm just really doing a lot of work around the stories in my mind around our jobs, because we are both jobless. We have, of course, saved up money, and we have some income coming in from our properties that we own, which I'm so grateful for, but we don't have jobs. And it's hard to rewire your mind around all the subconscious programming we have from our society, from like when we start to go to school, or maybe even before that you go to school, you get a job, you work for the rest of your life. We are just blowing up that timeline. We are totally collapsing that timeline. We are like retired right now, right? I mean, not forever. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? But if you were to ask us, like, it almost seems like we're retired right now, which is something typically that's not done until your 50s or 60s or 70s. So we're living very unconventionally, and the society we're in doesn't always support that, and other people's mind stories don't support that. So we're just truly, and I feel like this is going to be easier when we're in the RV and able to slow down and soak it in a little bit more, but there's just a lot of work we have to do around our mindset, around not having jobs and working for ourselves. Like, I don't even want to call it work, but I guess you could. Like, I'm still doing podcast stuff. I'm still producing content on my YouTube channel, Yoga Flows, and other resources to help you live in alignment and to share a story and to share our journey. So I guess that is kind of like work, and I would love that to be what I do full time moving forward, but I also don't want to call it work. So this is me just rambling, saying that it's been interesting observing the mind since I quit my job, and I get frustrated that sometimes I feel like I'm not truly enjoying it because we felt so busy, but I know that's truly just a mind story. And I know that the mind just loves to preoccupy itself. Like, going back to what I said in the beginning, sometimes we have these notions that when I get to this certain point, then I'll feel this way. When I quit my job, I'll feel this way. When I get here, I'll feel that way. But you can feel that way right now. And no matter what, like just the way that we are wired right now, a lot of people, I'm sure, can relate to this. Even when you do get to that thing you're manifesting, like us finally quitting our jobs, the mind wants to do mind things and preoccupy itself. What is the mind really good at doing? Worrying, having anxieties, bringing things up to ponder and to overthink, right? And my mind has definitely been doing that since we quit our jobs. I've noticed so many worries coming up, but that is why I do the work I do. That is why I have so many resources for you to connect to your internal guidance. Your internal guidance is always there. Remember, it's your intuition. I just call it internal guidance because that feels fun to me. It's always there, always loving you, guiding you, and it has no problems. It truly has no problems. So if you need help tapping into your internal guidance, check out the resources I always link in the show notes. If you're listening to the podcast, or in the description if you're watching on YouTube, or you can message me and I can send you those resources. So many ways for you to connect to your internal guidance. And a practical way that we did this the other day is on Monday. Not everyone, but most people had Monday off for the holiday, and Steven and his brother and I took like 10 minutes to do a quick yoga flow together. And of course we got interrupted by babies, and his job was actually popping off even though he had the day off and things going on. But even those 10 minutes were so beautiful and so nice for us to have, to just connect back to the present moment, connect back to our internal guidance, our intuition, and remind ourselves that the only problem is that we truly have no problems. And we just have to remember that every once in a while because we can get really caught up. So I share all of this to remind you that even if you are to a point where you have manifested something that you've been dreaming forever, or even if you're not there yet, it's okay if mind stories come up. It's okay if worries come up and anxieties come up and you feel like you can't be present and you feel like life is chaotic and you feel like you're so busy. It's okay. A lot of our suffering comes from resisting just those feelings right there. This is such a beautiful time to feel your feelings. I just did the yoga flow for Cancer season. We're in the Cancer season of the zodiac, and it's just been really fun to research those throughout the year. And of course, my sweet little baby is a little crabby, I call him. He was born July 20th in Cancer season. But one of the main parts of this season of the year is feeling your feels. Feel your feels. If things come up, allow them. Let them out in the healthiest way you can, whether it's crying, going for a walk, talking to someone about it. Let it out in a way that feels aligning to you. So go check out that yoga flow if that feels good to you. I will link it in the show notes. Of course, I've done yoga flows for all the different zodiac seasons since Scorpio season. So I think I have 4 more to do, which I will do as we're in the RV. And it's fun to see the backgrounds change as we go to different locations. But my last reminder to you, and I just saw this on my Instagram, and it comes from our guest last week, Daniela Hoffman, posted on her Instagram account for The Cabin, which is just an online mindful co-working space that she has created. She just put a beautiful reminder on there saying, like, one of the most certain things is that we have a limited amount of time on this physical plane. I think she said we get about 40,000 weeks. I could be totally off. 4,000 weeks? The number's not important. And I'm not saying that to give you scarcity about time, but what you do with your time is important. And it's not about squeezing more into that time. It's about prioritizing what is important to you, what is aligning to you. So this is my reminder to you as you go throughout life. Do not forget to prioritize what is aligning to you, and it's different for every single one of us. And tapping into your internal guidance and making decisions from that space, and learning when you don't make decisions from that place and things don't go as planned, learning from that is so, so beautiful. So that is all I have for you this week, my loves. I hope this episode was fun. It's always aligning for me to just get on here and talk to you all and catch you up on the things that are going on in my life. If you want real-time updates, please follow along with me on Instagram at Lindsay with an A, M as in Michelle, Tanner. I will link that in the show notes. Like I said before, please share this episode with anyone that you think needs to hear this message or needs any of these reminders. I just want to share this with as many people that need to hear this message as possible. If you are new here, please subscribe. We have new episodes every week, and I have some more aligning interviews coming up. And if you have some free time and if it feels aligning, please leave a review on the podcast. It means so much to me and just helps the podcast in infinite ways. So sending you all so much love, sending you all so much presence and so much gratitude. And of course, I will see you next week on Alignment Adventures.